And before we get started, guys, I just want to thank SANDMARC for sponsoring this video. They sent me this Phantom 4 Professional filters to review. I love them. And I'm going to talk about why I love the Phantom 4 Professional in one regard over the Mavic. And it has to do with ease of use of ND filters. So guys, if you've seen my previous Mavic and Phantom 4 comparison, I compared so many things. I talked about the specs, I talked about the flight speed, I talked about the GPS performance. One thing that I and a lot of people overlook, the advantage of the Phantom 4 Pro versus the Mavic is the professional aspect of it when it comes to ND filters and the aperture. So what that allows you to do is a lot easier, film more cinematic looks. When you are filming with your drones, you want to keep the shutter speed at double the frame rate. Not going to get into this too much, but if you film at 24 frames per second, you want to film at about 1/50th of a second shutter speed. That will get you the perfect look, the most cinematic look. Everything will look natural and blur and won't look like too crisp and jarring. So where the Phantom 4 Professional is so much easier in my opinion, is that the ND filters can screw on and off. You have to hear me out for a second though. It may not seem like a big thing, but if you own a Mavic and you've tried to put ND filters on a Mavic, much less try to use polarizers on a Mavic, it is such a pain in the butt. Because for one, the Mavic, the gimbal is so tiny and there's no way to actually put ND filters on them. Like, you just snap them on. There's no unscrew and screw back in. It's snap on, hope for the best. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I have tested quite a few Mavic ND filters. The glass, the quality, the clarity, everything about ND filters is great. It's just using them on the Mavic is such a subpar experience. This is the Mavic gimbal. Like, this little doohickey right here is the gimbal. It's so, like, delicate. It just feels like you shouldn't even put your hands on it. But you want to put the ND filter up there and then push. Like, it wasn't too hard, but then you have to take it off. And if you want to switch filters, it's like you're always touching the gimbal. So if you're familiar with polarizers, you have to turn them to get the best effect. So to do that with the Mavic is kind of ridiculous. So you have to put the polarizer on the Mavic, not all the way because it doesn't offer the ability to twist it. So you have to put it up there and then kind of turn it without it being up there completely. And as you're doing that, you're kind of putting pressure on the gimbal and twisting it around. And then once you get it right, hopefully it's right, and then you pop it on. Then if you need to change it, you have to pop it off. Again, all putting pressure on this little gimbal right here. I personally use the Mavic for travel. I don't really worry about it for like the best footage or anything like that. I don't really honestly put ND filters on the Mavic too much. But that's where the Phantom 4 Professional comes in handy. Obviously, the filters are going to be bigger. So they're a lot easier to use and maneuver. But the best part about the Phantom 4 Professional, even the Phantom 4 had this, the gimbal has a built-in UV filter from the factory. So you can literally unscrew it. Just support the gimbal. Again, it's easier when I'm not on camera. And then you can take off the built-in UV filter. But what I'm getting at, most of the polarizers and ND filters for the Phantom 4 Professional screw on. So you take off the UV filter like I showed you, and then you just screw on whatever other filter you want. So polarizers and the ND filters screw on the Phantom 4 Professional, but when it comes with the polarizers, some of them even turn like this. So that allows you to find that sweet spot in the lens. So you just turn it until you get the desired color or polarized effect that you want, and you're good to go. Like, it is literally like 1,000% easier to do this, to find the proper polarization on the Phantom 4 Professional versus the Mavic. So another pro feature of the Phantom 4 Professional is that the aperture is variable. So just like a DSLR, you can change your aperture. So like, for example, like right now I'm shooting at f2.8, so it's really shallow, it absorbs more light. I can change my camera up to, like, this is 11, for example, so you can't even see me at all. But what that allows you to do is adjust the lighting and the depth of field. So just like I demonstrated with you on my camera, with the Phantom 4 Professional, you can put an ND filter on it, and then to fine tune it, you can adjust the aperture, make it higher or lower depending on where you're at. You want to get that EV value, the exposure value, close to 0, maybe a little higher, maybe a little bit lower, just depending on the situation. If you don't have a variable aperture, you're basically stuck with the ND filter, and you can change the ISO a little bit. But if you want to keep that cinematic look, you can't touch the shutter speed. The aperture allows you to adjust that and fine-tune everything. The Mavic doesn't do that. So in my opinion, this should be called the Phantom 4 Professional because it allows for more professional features like easier ND filters and also the adjustable aperture. I feel like the Mavic Pro should just be called the Mavic, honestly, because the Pro features that I mentioned in the Phantom 4 Professional just aren't on the Mavic. And I'm not trashing the Mavic at all. Like, it's a great drone. It just doesn't have those extra features that you would expect to call a device professional, you know? I still have both. I have awesome uses for both. But if I'm not worried about space, if I'm not worried about size, and I want the best picture and the best look, I'm going to take this. But if I'm traveling and just want to throw my drone in a bag, not really worry about the perfect cinematic look, and if I don't want to use ND filters, even though I could use them, I'm going to choose the Mavic. And I think that's about it, guys. So, like I said, the Mavic is a great drone, but the Phantom 4 Professional definitely outshines it when it comes to ease of use of ND filters and changing the aperture. I think the ease of use of changing the ND filters isn't entirely mentioned enough. Even in my previous video where I compared the two drones, almost a 20-minute video, I failed to mention the ease of use of ND filters. And I think the problem is people get so caught up on specs and forget about the simple things, the ease of use, and something like just a threaded way to screw on an ND filter is great. I totally forgot to end this video properly because people were staring at me filming in my car and I forgot to do an outro. But that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. You can click my head. We'll put them right here. And then if you want to watch some other videos, I'll put a video here where I compare the Mavic and the Phantom 4 Professional more. And I'll put a video here, which I'm not sure what it is yet. It'll be a surprise. Alright, guys. Have a great day. Bye.